mengejar cita-cita pasti akan terhasil. Ayo kita semua menuju kejayaan. Waktu kita berjalan
Tahun 2021 merupakan tahun mencabar buat semua pelajar SPM 2021. Ramai yang tercicir dan ketinggalan disebabkan perubahan gaya pembelajaran yang dulunya bersemuka dan kini ke alam maya. Oleh itu, Yayasan Impak terpanggil untuk bersama-sama mengatasi masalah ini. Akhirnya, Impak SPM 2021 dapat membantu pelajar SPM get back on the track. Dengan tenaga pengajar dari Majlis Guru Cemerlang Negeri Kedah disokong oleh Majlis Pengetua Sekolah Malaysia, anjuran bersama Yayasan Sultanah Bahiyah YSB mendapat dukungan KPM dan JPN. Berkat sumbangan para penaja, program Impak SPM 2021 dapat dilaksanakan dengan jayanya. Yayasan Impak mengucapkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan kepada penyumbang yang telah memberikan sumbangan dalam merealisasikan kejayaan program Yayasan Impak. Terima kasih kepada para penaja yang telah banyak menyumbang. Salurkan sumbangan anda bersama membantu pelajar yang terjejas dan ketinggalan dengan Impak SPM 2022.
Semua menuju kejayaan.
Program santunan pendidikan Impak SPM telah dilanjutkan untuk tahun 2022-2023 sebagai meraikan permintaan dan cadangan agar usaha sulung Yayasan Impak tahun lalu diulang dan diperluaskan tahun ini, memandangkan keberhasilan dan kejayaan yang telah terzahir dari inisiatif tersebut. Program Impak SPM tahun 2022-2023, beberapa penambahbaikan usaha telah dilaksana. Pendekatan PDP program pula dipelbagaikan. Fokus tumpuan daerah juga telah diperluaskan dan beberapa aspek teknologi juga telah ditingkatkan. Maka, di samping PDP digital secara maya dalam talian, usaha telah dimantapkan pula oleh PDP Bengkel Bersemuka Bersasar BBBB dijuruskan kepada sekolah-sekolah yang dicadangkan oleh Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri dan Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah berdasarkan kelompongan atau ketidakcukupan aspek-aspek tertentu di sekolah-sekolah berkaitan. Cadangan PBBB ini telah mula dicadangkan kepada Pengarah Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Perak yang berbahagia Tuan Haji Aznan Haji Alias semasa kunjung hormat di pejabatnya pada 11 Mei 2022. Beliau telah menyokong cadangan ini dan menyarankan Yayasan Impak mendapatkan kerjasama PPD, dukungan perlu dan kerjasama pelbagai pihak. Maka PBBB sulung telah dilaksana di Batang Padang Perak. PPD Encik Osman Bahari telah mencadangkan Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Air Kuning, sebuah sekolah sukan bola sepak, untuk menerima program yang dinamakan Bengkel Revolusi Kecemerlangan Guru dan Pelajar. Program mengandungi dua fokus kumpulan sasar. Untuk pelajar, bengkel fizikal PDP 2 dari 6 mata pelajaran teras SPM, iaitu sains dan matematik. Untuk guru-guru pula, bengkel pendekatan meningkatkan kecemerlangan pelajar-pelajar SPM, menitik beratkan asas dan tuntutan KSSM dan kepada yang baru diperkenalkan di SPM 2021. Justeru, ada mereka yang belum menghayati sasaran maksud dan kemastian kurikulum ini dan teknik memahirkan cara dan format penilaian serta pemarkahan yang memungkinkan skor tinggi dalam peperiksaan SPM. Program Bengkel Bersemuka Bersasar ini telah diadakan pada 26 hari bulan Ogos dan telah mendapat sokongan penuh oleh Pengetua Encik Nur Azmi Murad. Turut dihadiri oleh Tuan Muhammad Halmi bin Miswan, Wakil PPD Batang Padang, dan rombongan rakan penganjur program iaitu Kelab Bakti Gunung Keledang KBJK Perak. Bengkel Sains telah dipimpin oleh Cikgu Ismi Kamarul Syam, anggota Majlis Guru Cemerlang Negeri Kedah MGCNK dan pakar rujuk subjek sains untuk pelbagai program KPM. Beliau juga mempunyai pendedahan pengalaman dan penyertaan pelbagai bentuk pendidikan antarabangsa Jepun dan United Kingdom, terutama di bidang pedagogi dan teknik meningkatkan prestasi dan kecemerlangan pelajar-pelajar. Bengkel sains ini telah memfokuskan perlunya pemikiran kebat untuk KSSM Sains SPM, format KSSM Sains SPM, format kertas 1 serta tips untuk skor kertas 1 di mana semua terdapat di dalam buku teks. Kertas 2 bahagian A, terdapat 4 soalan yang semuanya aras adalah sama. Terdapat 1 soalan aplikasi bagi setiap soalan yang boleh diaplikasi dalam kehidupan seharian. Kertas 2 bahagian B, terdapat 6 soalan. Semua soalan adalah berbentuk fakta. Terdapat 2 soalan reka cipta yang mudah, iaitu soalan nombor 9 dan nombor 10. Pelajar hendaklah menggunakan semua alatan yang diberi dalam soalan dan kemudian lakarkan. Dan kertas 2 bahagian C, soalan nombor 11, mengeksperimen wajib dijawab mengikut format KSSM. Manakala soalan nombor 12 dan 13 adalah pilihan dan perlu menjawab salah satu sahaja. Soalan yang berbentuk pendapat, pelajar hendaklah memberi alasan yang baik mengikut kehendak soalan. Mata pelajaran matematik pula, ia dipimpin oleh Cikgu Arzman bin Saad. Cikgu Arzman merupakan pakar yang tidak asing dalam pendidikan dan PDP matematik. Sering hadir memimpin PDP dalam didik TV dan pelbagai media. Seorang yang amat komited sehingga dia sendiri menduduki kertas matematik peperiksaan SPM setiap tahun sejak 2006 bagi mengalami dan menghayati isi kandungan dan impak soalan-soalan peperiksaan. Bengkel matematik pula memfokuskan format SPM KSSM, analisis SPM 2021, tajuk potensi kertas 2, kaedah dan teknik menjawab, jalan kerja minima, markah maksima dan strategi menjawab soalan peperiksaan. Sebagai memanfaatkan kehadiran pakar dan guru cemerlang mata pelajaran, satu bengkel untuk guru-guru pula telah diadakan dipimpin oleh Cikgu Ismi Kamarul Syam. Guru-guru dari SMK Air Kuning telah disertai oleh guru-guru Sekolah Menengah Cenderiang dan Sekolah Menengah Datuk Panglima Perang Kiri. Bengkel yang bertajuk Program Membina Kecemerlangan Generasi Revolusi Industri 4.0 telah mendapat sambutan positif kerana ini adalah satu input yang jarang-jarang mereka peroleh. Bengkel ini memberi tumpuan kepada teknik-teknik bagi membangun serta memupuk minat dan daya dorongan terhadap peningkatan prestasi dan kecemerlangan pelajar. Sesi ini juga memberi huraian dan impak KSSM dan kebat bagi menambah kefahaman dan penghayatan peranan dan pedagogi perlu bagi guru-guru untuk memanfaatkan kurikulum baru seperti yang dimatlamatkan oleh KPM. Inilah template bengkel bersemuka yang dicadangkan di bawah program Impak SPM, di mana kita manfaatkan kehadiran guru pakar dari Majlis Guru Cemerlang memimpin bengkel satu mata pelajaran teras SPM untuk pelajar, dan kemudian guru pakar ini melaksana pula bengkel untuk guru-guru mata pelajaran sama dalam daerah PPD berkenaan. Yayasan Impak dan rakan-rakan penganjur dan pelaksana program intervensi meningkatkan aspirasi kecemerlangan pelajar SPM atau Impak SPM berharap gabungan PDP digital dalam talian dan bengkel bersemuka bersasar akan menzahirkan keberhasilan yang lebih baik. Sementara bengkel guru-guru mata pelajaran itu pula dapat meningkatkan prestasi dan keberhasilan guru-guru dalam mata pelajaran itu di sekolah-sekolah dalam satu-satu PPD, insya-Allah.
Terima kasih kat Yayasan Impak kerana saya dapat banyak manfaat yang saya dapat pada hari ini.
Terima kasih kepada Yayasan Impak bagi tips yang sangat berguna kepada murid dan ajar dengan sangat bersemangat.
Terima kasih Yayasan Impak kerana memberi semangat dan tunjuk ajar yang bagus.
Terima kasih kepada Yayasan Impak kerana banyak memberi kesedaran kepada saya untuk lebih bersedia menghadapi SPM tahun depan.
Tahun 2021 merupakan tahun mencabar buat semua pelajar SPM 2021. Ramai yang tercicir dan ketinggalan disebabkan perubahan gaya pembelajaran yang dulunya bersemuka dan kini ke alam maya. Oleh itu, Yayasan Impak terpanggil untuk bersama-sama mengatasi masalah ini. Akhirnya, Impak SPM 2021 dapat membantu pelajar SPM get back on the track. Dengan tenaga pengajar dari Majlis Guru Cemerlang Negeri Kedah disokong oleh Majlis Pengetua Sekolah Malaysia, anjuran bersama Yayasan Sultanah Bahiyah YSB mendapat dukungan KPM dan JPN. Berkat sumbangan para penaja, program Impak SPM 2021 dapat dilaksanakan dengan jayanya. Yayasan Impak mengucapkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan kepada penyumbang yang telah memberikan sumbangan dalam merealisasikan kejayaan program Yayasan Impak. Terima kasih kepada para penaja yang telah banyak menyumbang. Salurkan sumbangan anda bersama membantu pelajar yang terjejas dan ketinggalan dengan Impak SPM 2022.
Hello. Hi, Alif.
Hi everyone. Hi Gaiman.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How about you?
Fine as well. Very busy. We're just done with our speaking test for the past 3 days. So yeah, very hectic, very tired. Tired of sitting for hours. But then very glad that the speaking test is over.
Finally, we only have listening on Thursday. I think that's about it.
Yes, listening on Thursday. And then next would be reading and writing on the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's not. We have 1 week gap, so that I think we have enough time to prepare our students.
Yes, exactly. So what are we going to share with our students tonight?
All right. So I think since the listening paper is in about 2 days or less than 2 days, so let's recap on our listening paper, paper 4, before we do a bit of a review on our speaking on these past 3 days. I think if we
Yes,
have time.
exactly. Okay, can you go to the next slide? The third slide?
Okay.
We're not going to go through the format because by right, students, I think students are very familiar, are already familiar, should be familiar with the format. And we're just going to share with them some tips on how to go about doing their listening test. Okay, next slide. Okay. So now, before the exam, what is it that you need to expect? Okay. I think to prepare you for your exam, what you can do is, I think, Alif, students can go through all of the listening exercises in their download textbook as well as their full plus plus textbook. I understand that some students no longer they don't have their Form 4 textbook, but you can always ask from your teacher because the book is available online. Okay, make sure you cover all of the listening practice in both textbook because it will give you exposure to the vocab, to the style of questions that will be asked in your exam, isn't it?
True. I think one of the best ways of practicing listening is to actually listen to people speak in English. Okay,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
just the robotic voice that might not be one in our exam. They
That
are
is,
going to record.
yeah,
They are going to record real teachers, right? So I
exactly.
hope you can listen to the real human speaking, not just the Google practice or something like that. That's just a robotic voice.
Exactly. What you can do is probably you can go to YouTube, or if you have Spotify, you can listen to podcasts. If you have, you can also listen to radio shows on YouTube, because there are billions of free videos available online. All you have to do is find one and listen to it. Okay. And I think students need to also get themselves familiar with variety of accent because in Malaysia, I think for SPM like last year, I don't know what is it going to be for this year, but assuming that it's going to be the same as last year, speakers will be local Malaysians. Okay, so you need to be familiar with the accents of Indians, Chinese, and Malaysians because um, you know each of the race have certain particular peculiar accents, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a little bit nuance and differences here and there.
Yeah,
Maybe the way they pronounce things. So that's what we need to catch on, lah, I
yeah.
think.
Okay. And then also, variety of ages because speakers, you probably listen to a father and a daughter, a grandmother, teacher, and students, the variety of ages as well. And then students need to also practice to listen and write at the same time, simultaneously while they listen. Because note taking, I think, Alif, is very important in listening test. This skill is, I think, um, vital in order to ensure that students can perform well in their speaking test.
Yes, because you don't really have extra time to write down your answers. You only have that during the second listening, if I'm not mistaken. You have
Mm.
like maybe around 30 seconds or something before they start playing. So you need to be a bit quick in listening and writing at the same time. You cannot expect them to give you like 2 3 minutes of extra time for you to write down your long answers.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know what? Some students complain that they can't listen and write at the same time, but actually they can because this is a practice that you need to have, the skills that you need to have, especially if after SPM you will, go to university and listen to long hours of lectures, note taking is essential to survive.
True.
Okay. And finally, learn from your mistakes. Okay. If let's say you have already do so many practice tests, okay, don't just say I got 23 out of 30. Focus on the ones that you got wrong, and then try to identify and work out why is it that you got them wrong. Okay. Refer to the transcript. I think this is the best part about doing practice with your Full Blast and download textbook, because there's transcript available, so you can refer to what is it that probably you misunderstood while you listen to the recording.
Yeah, for exercise book might not have all this transcript. They just give you the QR code for you to scan the audio, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
exactly.
But as Miss Aiman said, the textbook, refer to the last pages, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the last pages, there will be a transcript for each practice, so you can check the word. Maybe you thought it is pronounced differently than you are familiar with. Maybe some words that have two pronunciation, like read and read, the same
Exactly.
spelling, but they are different. I
Yeah.
might thinking of the color red instead of past tense of read. So yeah, those are the small differences that you can learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So in the exam, I think that time management is super important, because why? If you know how to manage your time wisely, it will give you an advantage over other students. No, some students who have never done any listening practice, okay, or some schools, Alif, don't be surprised. Some school, they don't carry out listening tests at all. I'm whispering.
We
So,
don't know.
you know what? It's on video. Yeah. So, but then this is what happened. So, you know what? Students need to get themselves, with lots of practice, because um, before, in the very beginning of the listening test, the Lambaga will tell everybody on what are the things that the candidates need to do. So while other students are listening to that explanation, you can start reading the question in the section already. Okay, you don't have to listen to the instruction, because the instruction is going to be the same. Okay, isn't it?
Especially in the first 25 questions
Yeah.
or 15, 20 questions, if I'm not mistaken. These are going to be multiple choice questions, so you know the rule, A, B, or C, or D. So you don't have to read the instruction. You use that time to read through the question, understand the differentiation in each section, because each section is going to be a different type of audio given to you, right?
Yeah,
We'll go into
exactly.
it later. Yeah.
Yeah. And then don't get cocky. Because the other day, I had this listening practice with my students. We use this question from other state. And because most of my students are fan of the BTS, and it just so happened that the questions is about BTS, so they think that they know the answer. Just because you are familiar with the topic, you cannot use your logic to choose the answer. Okay, you have to listen to the
Yes.
recording.
I think that's a little bit of disadvantage of prior knowledge. I know you might be a super fan of a
Yeah.
BTS or something, but listen properly. Don't get cocky. Just like Smith Simon said, listen properly, because whatever is in the transcript might not be the same as what you know. Maybe they are worded differently, so that's why it's a bit of a different information that you had earlier.
Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So we're going to continue with the first part of our speaking test, which is the short monologues and dialogues. Okay, next slide. All right. So students, have a look at this question. Okay. One of the things that Lembaga will is fond of is using distractors, linkers, and others to confuse you, you know, in your speaking test. So let's have a look at this question. What does the speaker have in his backpack? Is it A, sloth, cushion, basket? or B, apple, banana, and carrot, or C, egg, bacon, and lettuce. Next slide, Alif. Now, imagine, okay, a listening test where you hear a voice saying, I have an apple, a banana, and a carrot in my backpack. And your job is to answer the following question. So that would be heaven, isn't it, Alif?
Yeah.
Straightforward, kan?
You should be able to get this if it is mentioned something like this. Very
Yes.
easy.
Yeah, but then will Lembaga do this? No.
Unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, yeah. Bad news to you all. No. So, okay, instead, what they will do is they will mention, the speaker will mention all of the answers. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the listening track. Ali, would you mind doing the voiceover?
All right, sure. So this morning I ate a bacon and a lettuce sandwich with some sliced egg. And then I went to my job at the zoo where it's my job to make sure the sloths have enough cushions and baskets. I'm on my way to the monkey cages now, so I've got a few apples and carrots for them. Oh, and a banana, as you can see poking out of my rucksack.
Yeah, okay. As you can see here, all of the options are mentioned in the listening track. Okay, so it's going to be, confusing if you don't listen properly. Okay, moving on. Okay, next slide. All right. Now you can see that all of the phrases in A, B, and C were mentioned. Okay. So what we need to do is we have to identify what is it that answer the question. You cannot assume or you just choose something based on what you hear last. Okay. And that is very risky. I think most of my some of my students have this habit where they will choose the answer or a word that they last hear from the recording and then put that as their answer. Okay, so don't do that. Avoid doing
Yeah,
that.
my issue is my students always use the whatever first they heard. That's
Mm,
another the opposite end. Like your student means Simon, whatever is at the end of the transcript. But some of my students prefer to, oh, this is the first thing they heard. This is the
mm.
answer.
Be
So
that. May I? Okay, because they listen to this. No, when you listen, you have to understand as well.
the
Okay.
whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Now, moving on. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Apart from distractors, okay, another distractors that Lembaga will use is linkers, okay. Um, Linkers such as whereas, although, however, okay. So all these cohesive devices and linkers that your teacher have been telling you to practice and get yourself used to using these linkers, and these linkers will come in handy when you are already familiar using it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here, let's look at this question. What sandwich did the man have for lunch? Okay. So the listening track will be, I normally eat bacon and lettuce sandwiches when I'm working at the zoo. However, today I had a cheese one. So probably, kalau kita ikut rule you just now, your students probably would choose bacon and lettuce, and my students would choose cheese. Isn't it, Alif?
Yeah.
Kan?
The opposite end of our choice.
Yeah. Okay. So look at how linkers are used. Okay, to introduce you a contrasting or a different idea. Okay. We know that the answer is B, but many students are like your students as well, Alif. They will stop listening after hearing bacon and lettuce
Mhm.
because it says, I eat this. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so tip for part one. Okay, the first part of the test, okay, I think this part is quite easy. What do you think, Alif? How is it that your students perform? Do they perform in this part?
Yeah, I would say it's a 50-50 depending on which class. I noticed that most of them will either score in this part or they will not score, but then they will suffer in the part 3 where there's a different speaker for each statement.
Like,
But one is a bit of a here and there, depending.
based on the item analysis from our school when we had our mid-year exam, I noticed that most students did quite well for this part of the test. I think probably because the audio is shorter, okay, and they one audio for one question. So I think that is why they are able to really pay attention and identify the answer. So because when I look at the item analysis, I notice that those who did well in part 1, they don't do quite well in part 2 because the audio is a lot longer. Not because they don't understand, but I think because the audio is longer, and so they're not able to keep up with the
It's easier
audio.
to miss keywords.
Yeah. Exactly. So, like I said, since this part is easy, all you have to do is pay attention, okay, and make sure that you don't get distracted, don't get fooled by the distractors, okay. So you will hear to 7 texts, 7 people talking in 7 different situations, and there's no connection between them. So one situation for one question. So each question with 1 point. So you must make sure that you do enough practice and you score full mark for this part. Alif, some students don't realize how important it is for them to score in their listening test because most of the students pay more attention to their writing paper. Okay.
True.
But then, if they lose 1 mark in their listening test, they will lose 0.8%. And that is a lot. Okay. So that is almost 1% already. So please make sure that for this part of the test, you score 7 out of 7. Okay. Next. So basically in this part, students need to identify the speaker's purpose, the opinion, mood or feeling, okay? If the speaker is happy or sad or disappointed or what? Does the customer want to complain? Okay, so these are the things that you need to get yourself familiar with. Moving on to next slide. So let's try with this question. Okay, you hear a message on a telephone answering machine. Why is the speaker calling? Is it A, to confirm some arrangement, or B, to issue an invitation, or C, to persuade someone to do something? Now let's listen to the recording. Silakan.
Okay. Oh, hi, it's me, Johan. Sorry to miss you. You must already left for work. Look, I wondered if you wanted to come away for the weekend. There'll be about 10 of us, including someone called Sanusi, who says he was at college with you. And he remembers that you were brilliant at rock and roll. They've decided it'll be on October 9, Friday night till Sunday. Anyway, I'll put the details in the post. We're busy at the moment, so don't feel you have to come. But just let me know one way or the other when you can. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so what is the answer? Can anyone respond in the comment section? What do you think is the answer for this particular question? Anyone who would like to try? Anyone? Anyone? Try. Is the answer B? Is the answer B? King Joker said the answer is B. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, let's look at the answer of the option one by one. If we're going to say A, to confirm some arrangements, is it to confirm some arrangement? No, because this call is about making new arrangement. I wondered if you wanted to come. So that indicates that they are planning something new. Okay, the uses of past tense to talk about the future. Okay, it's a polite construction. Okay, so this is, I don't feel you have to come. Just let me know one way or the other. Okay, so this is not to confirm arrangements. Next slide, Alif. Okay. Is it to issue an invitation? Hmm, perhaps.
Looks
Perhaps.
like it on the
Looks like it.
surface.
I'm not so sure. Might be wrong, but let's look at the other option. Is it C? Next slide, Alif. Okay. Is it C, to persuade someone to do something? Nak paksa kah? Okay. I can imagine that some students might choose this one because perhaps it seems like the guy is saying, please come to my party, okay? But then, how do we know that this is not persuading someone to do something? The sentence, don't feel you have to come. Okay, so the answer is not C. So, King Joker, yes. King Joker, tak tahu lah nama apa King Joker. King Joker, yeah, the answer is B. Exactly. Okay. All right, let's give it a try. Next slide. All right, so what chores does the man have to do tonight? Okay, listen to the recording. So are you and Siti coming with us to the cinema tonight?
Not this time. We saw the film last week with Johan and Jenna.
So what have you got planned then? A romantic evening in?
No such luck. Jack is going to do the ironing and I get to clean the windows. At least we'll be ordering takeaway so no one has to cook.
Okay, so students, which one do you think is the answer? Do we have to repeat the recording twice? Let's repeat the recording. Make it look like the exam. Okay, now you will hear the recording again. So, are you and Siti coming with us to the cinema tonight?
Not this time. We saw the film last week with Johan and Jenna.
So what have you got planned then? A romantic evening in?
No such luck. Jenny's going to do the ironing and I get to clean the windows. At least we'll be ordering takeaway so no one has to cook.
Okay, so students, which one do you think is the answer? What chores does the man have to do tonight? Is it ironing, cleaning the window, or cooking? Please write in the live chat or in the comment section so that
Chores and kerja
Atira
rumah.
Sofia said B.
We have C.
Azim said C. Someone said C. Okay. Kita lihat siapa yang kena.
Check.
Cleaning the window. Maybe B. Mat Arif said B. Okay. Let's look at the... Yup. The answer is cleaning the window. Good job. Okay. So as you can see here, as we mentioned earlier, Lembaga will make sure that all of the options in the answers are mentioned in the recording, okay, as a form of, distractors. So you must make sure that you don't get fooled by the distractors. So job well done. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay. Now, conclusion for our part 1. Okay, you have to make sure that you analyze what you hear. Okay, learn the common vocab used in part 1. For example, to confirm, to issue, to persuade. Okay, so by having all these vocab, you'll be able to understand the requirement of the task better. Anything to add, Alif?
Yeah, I think most of the topics are going to be familiar with you actually from the textbook, if you still remember the
Yeah.
main themes. So be familiar with those words, like Miss Simon said. It's just like your speaking question. They might use synonyms, so be careful of the synonyms
Yeah.
of certain words.
Okay. Now, can we move on to part two? Okay, let's move on to part two. So, part two is a longer monologue, right? You will listen to one long monologue and then you have to answer 8 questions based on one recording. Okay, next slide, Alif. Okay, so you hear an interview, okay, probably a conversation about 3 to 4 minutes long, and then answer 8 multiple choice question based on that particular recording. So, problem with this part of the test is, Alif, I think students might be quite tired from concentrating. Okay, that is why some students don't do quite well for this part of the test, because it's not easy to keep up with the recording and then try to guess, the recording is actually in which part of the question. So what will happen probably, the recording is about question number 11, but then this candidate is at question number 9. So there you already miss a lot. There's a huge gap. Okay. So I think this happened because students have to listen to really long monologue and then they get tired. It's not that students don't know how to listen, but then because the difficulty of this part of the test, which is why they don't do as well as the first part. Okay. Next, like the rest of the listening test, you again ignore the distractors, pay attention to the leaking words, and then try to understand the meaning of what the people in the recording are saying. So, students, if you have any question or concern related to this particular part of the test, part two of your listening test, please write in the comment section or in the live chat so that we can help and address the question, your concern. Okay. Next slide, Alif. Okay. Next. Alif, what is this?
Hmm.
When you
This is
sit for your muat during your college years, do you have this in your writing listening paper?
yes, maybe roughly the same. So it is what do you call it? The understanding the keyword and eliminating all the wrong answers.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But then, Alif, I'm actually quite surprised to see some students, their test paper has this pristine look. Macam tak kena sentuh. Okay? So you must make sure that if your test paper looks like this, students, then you are on the right track. You must make it a habit to, while reading the whole question, use your pencil, circle, identify, or put that squiggly lines ikut suka you lah. Okay, your style, as long as it helps you to focus on the requirement of the task. Because later, if you have already done this practice, our mind is this power tau, Alif. Kan? Bila we have already done the first part, when we listen to the recording later, we can almost immediately identify, aha, this is the answer, isn't it? Kan? But then, if you don't do this, if you don't eliminate your answer, identify the keyword or the requirement of the task, then you'll be wondering, kat mana ni, isn't
Baru
it?
nak cari kan.
Tahu nak cari. Okay? Alright, next slide. Okay, so now Let's look at this sample question. Okay. What's the main reason the writer moved to Spain? Okay, let's hear the recording.
Okay. What everyone knows about Spain is that the climate is perfect for writers. And I'm a bit of an amateur chef, so it's great to be surrounded by good restaurants and fresh ingredients. But despite that, I would have stayed in England had it not been for my partner. She wanted to be close to her family, whereas it's quite easy for me to work from anywhere in the world.
So, students, what is the answer for this question? Write in your comment section. What is the answer for this question? Okay. Right. Look at the distractor there. Can you tell me what is the distractor used in this particular listening track? In this transcript? Ooh.
We have an answer B.
B. Why you say B? Okay, look there. Okay. But despite that, despite that, exactly, all right? Despite that, I would have stayed in England had it not been for my partner. Okay, so yes, the answer is B. Very good. Okay, remember, we're just doing this practice so to make sure that you can identify, you are aware of the distractors and linkers used to confuse you. Okay, remember that this is not a reading test, nah? This is a listening test, but we are showing you the transcript because we want to focus. Our focus here today is looking at the transcript to identify where is it that students might make mistake. Okay, right. Next slide. Now, we're going to give it a try. Okay, look at this question. Why does Richard decide to create the wildlife area? Is it A, the students wanted to help local wildlife? B, the area looked unattractive? Or C, some wildlife had already moved into the area? Okay, let's hear the recording.
All right. Well, there was a corner of the school field which wasn't being used for sports or anything else. And as nobody looking after it, it had become a bit wild. I was looking at it one day when I noticed how many butterflies and other insects were buzzing around the area. It was full of wildlife. I realized that if we did some work to make it even more attractive to wildlife, we could help our local environment while teaching the students about science and nature at the same time.
All right, so students, what do you think is the answer? Would you like to listen to the recording again? Can you listen to my son knocking on the door? Okay, that's
He's interested to join as well for our listening practice today.
one
All right, so
join
I
as well.
play the
Okay,
recording again.
so please let's listen to the recording again.
Okay. Well, there was a corner of the school field which wasn't being used for sports or anything else. And as nobody looking after it, it had become a bit wild. I was looking at it one day when I noticed how many butterflies and other insects were buzzing around the area. It was full of wildlife. I realized that if we did some work to make it even more attractive to wildlife, we could help our local environment while teaching the students about science and nature at the same time.
Okay, so which one is the answer? Is it A, B, or C? Please write your answer in the comment section. Nazreen, what do you think is the answer, Nazreen?
I hope I wasn't too fast.
I think it's C. Okay.
Okay, we have our
Right.
favorite King Joker giving the answer as
Joker,
C.
yep. Very active tonight. We appreciate it. Anyone else? Write down your answer. Other than King Joker, Umi, Mat Arif, who else? Atira, where are you? Let's look at the answer. Alif. All right. Okay. Next. All right. Let's look at So yes, the answer is C. Okay, because here it says that I noticed how many butterflies and other insects were buzzing around the area. It was full of wildlife. Okay, so yep, the answer is C. Correct. Okay, good. All right, next. So learn to identify why your answers are wrong. Okay, I think the best thing for you to do would be to go through all of the listening practice, especially for part 2 in your textbook, because all of the activity that we have for you tonight are all taken from your textbook. Okay, so you can have it online. As for the links from your teacher will be able to share it with you. Okay, or if not, perhaps Alif can put it online in our Moodle ka? Okay, the link to the textbook. Okay, so perhaps you can refer to that and try to do more listening practice. At least cover all parts lah. Okay, all units, all 12 units for your download textbook. Okay, so again, use all the time available to read the question, because once you read the question first time, okay, I don't think that you'll be able to read and like really thoroughly, but then I think that at least you can skim. Okay, skim the question, read really fast. Okay, at least you have like a gist on what the question is about. Underline the keywords, make sure that it becomes a habit of yours, and then try to guess. If let's say, some students probably one of their concern would be that they don't understand the question, so try to use, or they don't understand the recording. Okay, so try to use contextual clues to help you understand. Okay, kadang-kadang satu perkataan aja or dua perkataan yang student tu tak faham. But what you can do is, if you really pay attention and you really listen attentively, you will be able to, perform your own understanding lah, kan? Okay. Yes, exactly. Anything you want to add, Alif?
Well, I think one of the things that you need to understand in this section is it is like reading paper, if I'm not mistaken, part 3 or something, with the long text, but maybe not as long. That one full page of article, right? Where it's about the same story.
Comprehension.
Yeah, this is a bit more compressed, I think. Not as long lah, taklah panjang macam tu kan, sampai one whole page. So, but it's about the same thing. So you can guess. It should be something similar, familiar to you within the text. So it should not be too far off the answers, usually lah. Kalau topik dia like Roy earlier, skateboarding or something in our example at the top there, it should still be about skateboarding. Dia tak boleh tiba-tiba something about rocket science or something kan. If most of the cases, like if I'm not mistaken, based on whatever practice that we had, it should be still around the same topic.
Don't be too concerned. Don't worry so much. Okay, because I believe that students will be able to understand what concerns. What I think the problem with most students would be because they don't have enough practice. Okay, because they don't have enough practice, that is why they become too overwhelmed during the listening tests. Not because they don't understand. Okay, because if you notice, all of our students tonight, they are able to identify the answer. Okay, so it shows that actually the listening track, okay, the transcript is not difficult. Okay, using words that you understand, like B1 level, okay, paling tinggi pun B2. We are not going to be using C1 or C2 level. words. Okay, so yep, again, don't worry so much. Okay, next, let's move on to part 3. Yep, the matching part. Okay, so in this part of the test, what you're going to do is you will listen to 5 short clips, and each would be from a different speaker, but then they will be talking on the same topic. Okay, continue, Alif. No,
Eh,
back to that slide. Like to sambung.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I misunderstood that part. Okay, so this is, I think, one of the section where my students might have a lot more problem than part 1 and part 2, because you need to remember there are 7 options in the answer on your exam paper. 2 of them are distractors. They're not going to be the correct option. So just as Miss Aiman said, there are only 5 short clips, and they might be a bit faster, but they should be covering the same topic. For example, if it's a review of let's say an item, maybe the first speaker liked it, the second speaker did not like it, and so on. So it should be still around the same topic but different opinion usually. So
Yep.
check out the keywords there. Okay,
Yep.
pay attention. That is the most important section. Okay,
Yep.
not just what you read from the answer, the choices.
Mm.
Listeners also, because it's still a listening exam, right?
So don't pay attention. You don't focus on what you read. Okay, you have to pay attention to what you hear. Some students kan Aling, because they've been hearing this word, pay attention on keywords. Kan kita pun sebut juga pay attention on keywords, isn't it? But then, what is it? Well, what do you mean by paying attention to the keyword? Because ultimately, when you listen to the speaker, they will form an opinion. They will share their opinion about something. Okay, and then you have to somehow like summarize. Okay, summarize the whole thing that they said in one sentence, in one short sentence. Okay, so you cannot like pay attention to one particular word, and then just because you hear that mentioned in the recording, you listen to the speaker mention this keyword, okay, and then you
Toy
choose
yang
that
tu jawapan.
can.
That's the distractor lah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Oh, we have Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam, Faris. I just noticed your message. Yeah, thank you for joining.
Faris. Thank you, Faris, for joining. Hi. Okay. So one of the common mistake made by student in this particular part of the test would be that they fall again. Like I said just now, they fall trap into hearing specific words on the audio, and then they just match them with words in the options. Okay, so let's have a look at these 2 options. Okay, is it C, the variety of goods in the markets, or is it D, the style of the architecture? Next slide, Alif. Okay, so now let's look at this. Okay, oh, my time in Rome was fantastic. All the people are so well dressed, they're so stylish, and the markets were great fun, really good. So here we have this word like style. Okay, so probably students will immediately choose what?
The style of the architecture, because that same word used. Maybe they're not listening fully to the text, the audio. Just
Okay.
guess.
So answer D, the style is not about people, it's about building. Okay. And when you look at C, okay, the markets might be good, but answer C is about variety of goods. Kalau you want to choose C, okay, C, it will be probably talking about the range of products for sale. They have different specialties. They sell this and that, this and that. Okay, so just because these 2 words, okay, because markets, good were mentioned in the text, actually sebenarnya jawapan dia bukan pun. Okay,
Yeah.
not A, not C, not D. But here what we're trying to highlight is just because in the audio it is mentioned style, okay, markets, good, doesn't mean that that is the answer. Okay, moving on. Oh, tersilap susun ke? Okay, next slide. Saya kita patah balik here. Next
Okay.
slide. We need
This
to give
one?
it a try. Sorry, nah. Okay, so now students, again, let's give it a try. Now, what qualities, the question would be, what qualities each speaker admires in the person they are describing? Is it A, overcoming a lack of confidence? Or is it B, being well organized and busy? Now, let's listen to the recording.
I am not a very confident person and I'm not very good at making plans. I don't have the courage to invite people to things in case they don't come. But because of this, I often end up bored and frustrated because I haven't arranged anything. My cousin, though, has always been much more confident. She's always planning activities with people and she gets so much more out of life. Tonight, she's going out for the evening. This weekend, she's visiting relatives. And next week, she's going away on a holiday with colleagues. She's always got something going on. I really must try to be more like her.
Listen to the recording again.
I am not a very confident person and I'm not very good at making plans. I don't have the courage to invite people to things in case they don't come. But because of this, I often end up bored and frustrated because I haven't arranged anything. My cousin, though, has always been much more confident. She's always planning activities with people and she gets so much more out of life. Tonight, she's going out for the evening. This weekend, she's visiting relatives. And next week, she's going away on holiday with colleagues. She's always got something going on. I really must try to be more like her.
Okay, so students, what do you think is the answer? Is it A or is it B? Please write your answer in the comment section.
Describing is menceritakan, Faris. It's like telling something, bagi tahu. Okay, we have Faris trying with an A as the answer. We have HD and Umi also giving A. Let's see more. Ideal, the third, is giving also an A as the answer. Good, keep it coming, boys and girls.
Cepat. Before I reveal the correct answer. Is it A? Okay. Let's look at the answer, shall we?
This is the transcript.
So, okay, actually, the answer is B, being well organized and busy. Okay, I understand why some students feel like, again, like what we discussed earlier, Alif, I understand why some students might feel the answer is A, because at the very beginning of the listening track, the speaker said, I'm not a very confident person. I'm not very good. I'm not this. I'm not that. Okay. So I think, yeah. But then if you check on the question, can you please go back to the previous slide, Alif? Okay. Previous slide. One more. Okay. If you look at this question, look at the question. What qualities each speaker admires in the person they are describing? So, boys and girls, here the speaker is not talking about that. Soalan bukannya tanya about the speaker. Soalan is asking you what the speaker admires in the person they are describing. So, next slide, Alif. Okay, which is why Okay, which is why I'm not a very confident person. I'm not very good. I don't have the courage. Okay, I this, I that is wrong because the question is not asking about the speaker. The question is asking about the person the speakers are describing. So here, yeah, focusing too much on the audio. Okay, ideally, I think it's the King Joker. He changed his name kot ni. Huh?
The
Time to
same
change your
icon.
name. Okay, so which is why here, look, the answer sebenarnya jawapan starts from here. My cousin though, has always been much more confident. Okay, she's always planning activities, and look at how the track is, the question, the audio is trying to confuse you, to trying to distract you. Look at how many times, they mention the word confident, confident. So yes, I understand why you said that. The answer is A. Okay. My cousin though has always been much more confident. She's always planning activities. She gets so much more out of life. Okay. She's always got something going on. So the answer to being well organized is she's always planning activities. Busy is she's always got something going on. So yep. Okay, so the answer is not B. The answer is sorry. The answer is not A. The answer is B. Now, ideal. Okay, next slide. Okay, Sagi, we are going to address ideals issue.
Do we go back to the?
And the next slide.
We missed something here, no need?
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Takeaway for part 3. So what you need to do for this particular part of the test, okay, remember ideal that the audio is actually not quite lengthy juga lah kan, quite long juga. Okay. So what you need to do here is you have to jot down while you're listening to each speaker. Please try to use short form lah. Don't try to write, full sentence, okay? Or while writing, you summarize, okay? Summarize, paraphrase in your own words what you understand from listening to each of the speaker. Next, what you can do is you match your notes with the option A to G and then try to find which one do you think fit your notes the best. So this is one of the tips, what I would do. Okay? So because this part of the question often asks what is the speaker's opinions, okay? So what else students can do is listen to certain expression that will help you in this area, such as in my view, I believe, I think, or listen to the reactions, okay, to help you understand the opinion. They're absolutely right. We are wrong. How awful. That's fantastic. Like the sample given just now was, can you go back to next slide? Okay, again? Okay. I must really try to be more like her. Okay, so yeah, this is opinion lah. Okay, that can help you to form your understanding about the speaker's opinion. Okay, let's go back to the takeaway. All right, anything anything you want to add, Alif? Did I miss anything?
I think most important is, of course, you have to listen to the and avoid the distractors. Listen to the correct point, and what Miss Aiman said earlier. You jot down, and maybe some people is visual learners. Maybe you draw a short mind map or something. For myself, I would just put one word keywords. I wouldn't put a long sentence there because it will waste time and it might confuse
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, and if
Great
it's wrong,
idea
just
that.
put X on the word. Let's say you're not talking about let's say what was the question earlier? Confidence. You wrote the word confidence earlier, but then you put X because no, this is not the cousin's description, not the adjective we're using on the cousin. You're supposed to be using a lot of something going on, equivalent to busy, right? So maybe you have written down the word confidence earlier, but towards the end of the text, I hope. I mean, if you're asking me, my style would be just put an X there. No, this is not the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
On a draft paper or on the side of the question paper, depending on, I forgot how the question paper looks. Maybe there's an empty side on the after the
There
question.
is
Maybe use
ample
there,
space.
Yeah, it should be enough space. You can just write
Yeah.
from there. Don't need to ask for extra paper, I think.
I like the fact that you mentioned, you use one keyword. Okay. I think you will get all this trick if you have enough practice. When you do this often, you will
Mm-hmm.
identify how do I speed up the process of me jotting down, what I understand from what the speaker said. But if you don't do this, it will be like you try to salin balik what the speaker said, and that is wrong. We are not trying and asking you to do that.
Jangan dia
Please
buat
don't get
karangan.
us wrong. Macam ada buat karangan, yeah, exactly. Okay,
Keep it for
but
paper 2.
exactly, I'll wait for paper two. But you only have, all these tricks if you done this often. If you do this often, okay, then you will start to figure out, next time I will have to do this. This is what I need to do to improve or do better. Exactly, good idea there. Okay, let's move on to. It's already 9:11. Okay, we
11.
have speaking to cover later. All right, let's look at part 4, sentence completion. Okay, Alif, would you like to introduce? Explain a
Right.
little bit.
Part 4, this is where it's a bit different than part 1, 2, and 3, where you need to actually write a word instead of ABC like earlier. Right? Not just circle or blacken the correct answer. You need to listen to the word. So this is where spelling is important. Okay, there are 10 questions, 10 marks, so 10 gaps. 10 tempat kosong. All right. And based on last year's question, it's not more than they're going to give you something like not more than one word, not more than three
Sorry,
words.
there's an error there.
Yeah.
Not more than one word, not 3 words.
Last year's question was not more than one word, but I think not more than 3 words is applicable if somehow they change. Because if I remember correctly, in MUET or maybe in PT3 long ago, there
Yeah,
was
in
this kind of
3.
different question. So bukan nak kata confirm not more than one word, just in case read the instruction. This one you kena baca the instruction. It's no longer ABC.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly,
so
exactly.
check. But last year, not more than one word.
Not more than one word.
We don't know
Okay.
this year. Kok lah dia nak tukar kan. So don't be
Yeah.
cocky like earlier what we said earlier. Read the instruction juga. Especially this
Okay.
section. Yeah. So and then of course listen to the monologue. This is similar to part 2 where it's about one particular speaker or maybe two if it's an interview mungkin 2 orang lah kan. So this is not like different speaker going to talk about different things. It's about the same story. This is like you're reading part 3 again. Ada satu cerita sampai habis. This is about that person or that topic only. Right? So that's why it's listen to a monologue and read through the text before the recording starts to play. This is similar to our section. Baca lah dulu soalan tu kan. Identify what is the question trying to ask. Is it which one is false ke? Which one is the purpose ke? All these things are keywords that you need to know as per other section. Sama je kan? You need to read and understand. And if possible, if you can guess the answers to fill in the gaps, maybe agak-agak dah. Ni dia kata apa, maybe one or two questions. If this one comes with practice, not on your first try lah. Kan? You've practiced enough, maybe you can guess.
Yeah, you can
word.
only guess. You can only guess possible answers to fill in the gaps if you first skim the whole text. Okay, so you need to skim the whole text. It's very important. You will not be able to guess anything if you don't skim the whole text first. By skimming the whole text first, you'll be able to get a gist of what the text is about. And then probably second reading, then only you start guessing. Okay, all right, next slide. Okay, let's have a look at this question. Okay, so Angela says that it was the what of the spectacle bear that first interested her. Okay, let's listen to the recording. But before that, when you look at this question, okay, what is it, that you think can fill in the gap, okay? That complete the sentence, it can complete the sentence. Is it okay if I say that kick of the spectacle? If I put a verb there, is that appropriate?
That's what you need to read and identify again. Should it be verb? But based on our possible answers, guessing that is nouns. Kan?
Nouns,
Yang mana lagi suitable? That's why you need to think. Toh nak berbual verb ke apa kan? That's where it comes with practice. Nak guess yang mana, mestilah pilih agak sikit lah kan. It's a bit, you don't really like so many words to choose which one. You can guess. If they already use verb beforehand, usually it's not another verb lah kan.
Exactly.
Different compound or something, but different topic.
Okay. So let's listen to Angela kan. Okay lah, I'm gonna be Angela. Okay. Instruction, por favor.
What was the instruction
Listen
again?
to the recording.
Listen to the recording about Angela.
Okay.
Oh God,
Thanks
sorry.
for inviting me tonight. As you know, my main interest is in conservation, and I'm lucky enough to work with lots of different organizations looking after animals both in captivity and in the wild. I've been fascinated by all kinds of bears for a long time before I started working in this field. But it was the spectacle bear that really attracted me. Some people find it appealing because of its size and shape, and it's less well known than other types of bear. But for me, I thought it was such a great name. Would you like to listen to the recording again?
Yeah. Now let's listen to
Okay.
the recording again.
No need lah ni.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay. So here, all right, probably, okay, you choose what? Size, apa lagi? If you look at this, size, shape, okay? But then the answer is it size or shape? What is the answer? Students, what is the answer based on the transcript? Yeah, I thought it was such a great name. Yeah, okay, so look here how they use, again, linkers. Okay, all right, next slide. Okay, let's do another question. Okay, tak ada, sama je. Okay, all right. Angela mentions that the bear's marking can be found on its what? As well as its eyes and cheeks. So here probably arms, legs, any part of the bear's body. So the transcript would be, the name comes from the patches of yellowish fur around the bear's eyes, which grow in a sort of a circle map, like glasses. Although these golden markings vary greatly from one bear to another and may not be limited to the eyes, they can extend as far as the bear's cheeks or even chest. So, the answer is eyes, cheeks mentioned. So, the answer is next slide.
One more yang tak bagi tahu kan.
Chest. Okay. So chest. All right. Okay. Can we go to next slide? Okay, let's give it a try. Okay. The legend says that Robin Hood would steal money from wealthy what? Passing through the Sherwood forest. Okay. So what do you think would be the possible answer here? Legend says that Robin Hood would steal money from wealthy what? Passing through the Sherwood forest. What do you think would be possible answer? Let's guess, people. Students, can you please write in the comment section, what do you think would be the possible answer to complete the sentence? Wealthy what? Wealthy king? Wealthy what? People? Person?
Kan. It's an adjective. Usually it should be another noun lah kan. It's describing the noun. So yeah. So
Okay.
that's where you get your guesses from.
Okay. So yeah. Let's listen to the recording.
Okay, so Robin Hood was a legendary character from medieval England. Legend has it that he lived in Sherwood Forest near Nottingham with a group of friends, finding food and shelter there and stealing from rich travelers who passed by.
Listen to the recording again.
Robin Hood was a legendary character from medieval England. Legend has it that he lived in Sherwood Forest near Nottingham with a group of friends, finding food and shelter there and stealing from rich travelers who passed by.
Okay, so students, what is the answer? People, tourists, wealthy tourists,
I think those were before they listened to the track yang guest
or
tadi tu kan.
travelers. Yep, exactly. Okay, let's look
Yes.
at the next slide. Yeah. So there you go. The answer is travelers. Okay, very good. Good try.
Remember what I said earlier about synonyms? Wealthy and
Mhm.
rich are synonyms, but the audio did not use wealthy, did they? Kan?
Mm.
Itu yang sahabat
Mhm.
awal tadi, if you remembered.
Yeah, exactly.
Synonyms is also important. It's what they use to
Mm-mm.
confuse us a bit.
Betul? Correct. Okay.
I think we had a
Next.
question that we missed from Aidil. What spectacle mean? Kalau you asingkan that word, it means wearing spectacles. But I
Mm.
think the previous example is a type of a bear, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a type of a
I'm
bear.
not sure about how the
Mm.
bear looks, but it's a type of
Mm.
bear.
Okay. All right. So, conclusion. Okay, for this particular part of the test, part 4. Remember, do not write more than one word. But then, if the question say do not write more than 3 words, then not more than 3 words lah. Okay. Remember that you can write numbers. Okay. And then make sure that you read the whole sentence so that the answer is grammatically correct. It feels well with the whole sentence. And remember that the second question normally always comes right after the first. So it is very important that you keep pace with what you listen to. Okay, otherwise you will miss. And remember, because this part of the test is not a multiple choice question, where if you miss, you can teka, but here you have to write the answer on your own. So please make sure that you listen carefully. Okay, keep up with the pace of the listening track. And then, yep, like what Mr. Alif said, the sentences on the paper will be different from the recording. Okay. And finally, spelling is super important. Okay. Anything you want to add, Alif?
Actually,
Before we move.
I have question about spelling. Kan? We
Hmm,
have actually two part of a question. One is plural with S or without S.
hmm,
How does it go in terms of marking? And I think another question is like British and American spelling, like travelers just now. We have double L and single L.
hmm.
Simon, can you elaborate on that? Two
Because,
questions.
okay, I dare not because I was not, I
Okay.
didn't mark last year. Marah nanti pemeriksa semua kan. But I would say that to be on the safe side, okay, to be on the safe side, spelling is super important. I think my colleague mentioned to me that spelling is mandatory, okay, and because we are using CFR, okay, so obviously it's British, so we stick to British spelling. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I think the reason why our students are so used to spell using American English is because all of the media, we are exposed to American English a lot. Okay, the exposure is more for American, but then because your curriculum is British English, so you stick to British spelling. Okay, all right. Next, okay, now we are going to um, what review, okay, some issues that students face. You know what we identify from the 3 days of our speaking test, which just ended today. Okay, now students, if you have any issues or any concern related to your speaking test, which you said, you know, the past 3 days, please write in the comment section so that we can help you and give you ideas on how to deal with it. Okay. Today we're just going to talk about issues related to your speaking test so that because you just had this test, so I think, you know, whatever it is that happened still fresh in your memory. So which is why we're going to discuss what happened in your speaking test. But I'm not going to go through the steps and every part of the test because we have done that. Okay, we have done that before. Okay, so please, while Mr. Alif change our slide, can you all please write in the comment section what are the problems that you face during your speaking test? Okay, write in the comment section. Okay, I give you 1 minute to do that. Okay, come on. Right. So, Alif, while waiting for our student, how was it? Students from Telok Bayu, our precious.
Or you can see the differences like in gap again from the first day until the second day and then the third day today. The simple way to comment is practice. Tak cukup
Yeah.
practice. No matter what template you give them, it's not going to be easy. Kan? There was I don't know, in our KMY district we had that banking workshop at SMK Ibrahim with all of the schools were there. Kan? They took 5 representatives from each school. Those templates were given to those students and also to the other students yang tak main lah kan. But I noticed that there's some students who did not practice. Nampak lah, they cannot perform the speaking papers, which is already quite easy, I would say, at least. Maybe not all of the sets, but more than half of the set of the questions are quite doable. Dalam practice. Some of them even want to practice earlier with my students. Basically soalan pocok lah walaupun tak tahu.
Lucky you.
Yeah, a few lah, not all of them. I think two sets maybe. 2 or 3 sets lah, half again. Yang whatever we did practice in class, keluar dah.
I think like for my school, it's not about their lack of ideas, but because some students, now other than practicing, discussing about the topic, students need to also practice on how to deal with issues, in their speaking test. Like what if, your partner tak mau bercakap, how do you handle that? Yes, correct. Students will be awarded, will be assessed individually. But then, macam kita lah, Alif, kan? If I talk and then you tak, if I ask you question, okay, Alif, and then you just keep quiet, it'll be very awkward, isn't it? We're not going to have small sailing session tonight.
It's not a
So it is
discussion
very,
anymore lah.
yeah, so it is very important that between the two candidates, they have some sort of a chemistry on how to go about, how to fill in each other's gap whenever, one person stumble. Some students, they waited for their friends because their friends stumble, okay, and they lose time and ended up they didn't even speak. Both candidates were not able to gain merit at all. Okay. All right, let's discuss because the students didn't share their issues. So I'm assuming they really paid attention to our session, our previous session. So Alhamdulillah. But yep, just sharing issues that we identified based on what happened in our school. So probably if you feel like this is issues that we're going to discuss tonight are issues that happen to you as well, so probably you can take something from it. Okay, next slide, Alif. So what are the issues faced?
Miss Aiman, wait, we have one issue here. I think this is for listening. My concern is the speaker might talk in different accent and the background noises were just unnecessarily louder than the speaker's voice. I think that's one
I
question we
think
have
this
from
one
Nazrin.
is for listening code. Nazrin, are you referring to the listening test?
It should be because I don't think our friends have that much of an accent, kan?
Nazrin, if this is one of your concern, you have to inform. Okay, I think the Lembaga will try and will provide, a good quality recording. Okay, because they have the capacity to do that. Okay, but then Nazrin, if let's say this is your concern, okay, you have to share this with your teacher so that your teacher can do practice with you, probably gempur ke apa ke. Okay, so that you are used to listening to the audio through that common speaker ke apa yang semua orang pakai tu, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, Nazrin, please share this your concern with your teacher, because from my school, I understand that students have this issue because they get overwhelmed from a part of the audio because they feel like it's not clear enough, and that is why they totally miss the whole thing. Sebab duk kalut, apa bunyi macam tu kan, okay, and then terus miss the whole thing. So I think, Nazrin, dekat sekolah you, by right, there will be technical people, okay, setiausaha peperiksaan and all. So please address this issue with your teacher, and I know that your teacher will definitely take necessary actions to ensure that the audio in your school will be perfect for your test. Okay? But then again, now we're going to focus on speaking paper. Okay? Alif, next slide. Okay. What are the issues faced by your student, Alif?
Okay, so we have one comment here, HD, saying lack of words. I think that will be covered here. So kita tengok lah. Alright. These are some of the issues that I have identified that happened throughout the 3 days. So, of course, like what our commenter, our student HD said here, lack of words. Basically, this means you don't have enough vocabulary, word choices. Kan? When you don't have enough vocabulary, then you will not be able to answer each of the questions. For example, we have chapter 6 is crime, unit 6 is crime. You don't know the words for mencuri ke, merompak, all those things. But we have burglary, theft, and so on, right? Robbery, another one. So you might not be able to answer this. And what is the medicine for this? What is the cure? Unfortunately, you have to read lah. Kan? Kena baca your textbook. At least your textbook. You don't need to really buy all the expensive revision books pun. Should be able to identify all the vocabulary in your textbook, especially the word bank on the side there, language bank or word bank. I forgot which term they use. Kan kat tepi tu ada for each chapter. Yeah, so
exactly.
that answers the section word choices lah. Right. So vocabulary thing,
HD, panggil HD. I think last year, during our import session, if I'm not mistaken, or I might be wrong, okay, I think Mr. Zanurin, our former teacher for import session 2021, he shared this strategy called Kona. Okay, so what is Kona? Kona ini, HD, whenever you are stuck, let's say you nak pergi sekolah, you're on your way to school and you know that there's an accident at this place at your normal route, okay, would you just wait in the traffic? Okay, ataupun you will take a different route? Definitely you will take a different route. So nobody wants to duduk and tunggu, right? So the same goes to your speaking test. If you cannot think of that one word, for example, you don't know the word burglary, for example. Okay, what is the crime? Burglary. You don't know how to say burglary. So ada student jawab murder. Oh, I witnessed a murder. Alamak, tak macam mana nak describe murder ni kan? Okay, so what you can do is, there's one time I saw a man. He was dressed all black. He was looking here and there, wandering, walking back and forth in front of my neighbor's house. Don't immediately answer burglary. Okay, because you tak tahu burglary. I think he tried to get in the house. The same idea, betul tak? It's the same idea. Cumanya you break that one word into a few sentences to express your idea. So don't, to what do you call that? To get all this vocab, you have to do reading prior to your exam. But then in the exam itself, if you stumble, don't try to find the word. Kalau you tahu the word, you tahu lah. Kalau you tak tahu the word, don't try force yourself trying to tanya pula kawan. Pecah masuk rumah ni apa? Don't. Okay,
Remember,
so
time
instead,
constraint tu isu dia. Tak ada
yeah,
masa.
time constraint. Yeah, exactly. Instead, pecahkan that one word into a few sentences which can help to deliver and convey the same meaning. Try to elaborate the first idea, the
The
idea
idea
first,
first.
right, teacher? What do you mean, Sujitra? Can you elaborate that? Sujitra is my student. Anyway, Sujitra, yeah. Avoid try. No, now part two. What happened in my school is because I, focus so much on Sora Sora because I thought that part is difficult. So you put lots of practice for that. It turns out students didn't do their own practice for part two.
I
So when
see.
it comes to part two, they all will be like trying to answer the question like, what is the crime? It was burglary. Duh. And then what else? You know, let's say the topic is on crime. Instead of trying to answer the bullet point, look at the question. You know what, teacher? Um, like 2 years ago, there are many crimes happen at my housing area. We can have like crimes cases happen every 2 weeks. It was very terrible. It was a very difficult time for everybody because no one feels safe. Tak cerita lagi, you haven't even answered the first bullet point. What was the crime? Tak, you belum jawab lagi. Okay? And then only you start answering. So I just happened to witness this one crime, I think like a year ago during the pandemic. Barulah you cerita. Okay? Don't try to what do you call that? Give a one word, yeah. Again, one word. Don't directly say the point, but elaborate it first. Yeah, exactly. Yes, elaborate. Because Sujitra, for this particular part of the test, part two, you have to talk for 1 hour.
1
1
minute.
hour, 1 minute.
Tahan
Letih,
1 hour.
1 minute. Okay, so you have to talk for 1 minute. If you give a one word answer, you directly say the point, you don't elaborate. I think within 20 seconds, you will be able to complete the task. You will be able to answer all the bullet points. Okay? And that is not telling a story. Remember, you have to share your personal experience. All right? Hesitation. How do we deal with hesitation? I notice some students have this problem because they hesitate. And I understand that when students hesitate because they're trying to find words.
Mm.
So what students can do is instead of students can say, well, I might be wrong. Alif, to be honest, I've never been asked that question before. So I don't really think about that so much. But that is a very interesting question. I think hesitation happens a lot in the further discussion task where we ask them this kebat question. Okay, we ask them this kebat question, and then what happen is we give them a statement and then we ask them whether they agree or not. Isn't it, Alif? Tidak, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Okay.
the last
So
section of part 3.
the last section of part 3. Okay, and then the interlocutor will ask, do you agree? Okay, and you know what, Alif? When people ask you, do you agree? You will almost naturally want to respond, I agree. Isn't it? And then the next question would be, why? Allah, jam lah, why pula? Okay, so instead, take some time, take a deep breath, okay? When you're trying to form your sentence, instead of immediately trying to answer the question, use these phrases where we call it formulaic expression. Don't say I don't know, but well, to be honest, I've never been asked a question before, so I never really thought about that. But I think that's an interesting question. So if you have to ask me, I would say personally, I think setakat ni I tak jawab lagi soalan.
I think
Kan?
4 or 5 sentences in tak jawab lagi.
Kan, 4 5 sentence in, but still I haven't answered the question. Okay, but I am responding. And you know what? In the test, we have this criteria of communicative competence, where we are looking at your ability to, keep the conversation going. Okay, we are not looking at words. Words is vocab. We're not looking at grammar. That is accuracy. We are looking at your ability to keep the conversation going. Okay, so perhaps you can do that. Okay, and then apa lagi ni? We have slur, mumbling, voice too soft, romantic. Allah. Boy single, remember, and I want to ask you a question. Ada any of your cikgu at school say this to you? When you want to write your answer for any subject lah, tulis biar bagi buruk-buruk. Yang penting nampak banyak. Ada tak cikgu cakap macam tu? Okay, even when you want to answer maths, so your teacher will make sure that you write your jalan kerja properly, clearly. Okay, slurring ni, mumbling, voice too soft ni, almost as if you write a really good essay. Okay, you write a really good essay, but then you write it in pencil, and then when people want to scan your answer, apa am tak nampak? How are we going to give you marks? And then you say, no, I wrote a lot for my exam. How come I fail? I wrote a lot, really good essay. And then you wrote in pencil. Kan? Pencil pula, pencil picit tu. Okay, that mechanical pencil. Kan? Dia punya, apa nama?
Mata
Carbon
dia
tu. Mata dia tu kecil kan? Okay? So
not
yeah.
so clear yang tu. Tak apa je lah.
Yeah. And you know what? The person who will give you mark will be 18 marks will be awarded to you by the assessor. So this assessor will be a teacher from a different school. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that assessor is not obligated to tell you, cakap kuat sikit, speak louder so that I can hear you. If you don't even bother to speak loud enough so that the assessor can understand you, the assessor tu dah lah duduk jauh daripada you. If you don't
A bit
even
far
bother,
than your teacher kan?
yeah, if you don't even bother to speak loud enough so that, the assessor can hear you, then why do you think the assessor will be bothered to award you mark? Sesuai lah dengan you pun cakap pelan. Isn't it? Okay. Nazrin Afiq, why I don't know about this earlier? Nazrin, go to our YouTube channel. Okay, Yayasan Impak YouTube channel. Please find the video where I shared tips on speaking. Okay. Anything else? Anything else?
I think for aside from communicative competence, we have the other two criteria, right, for speaking. So what you can conclude is the cohesive devices and grammar. Dua ni penting lah to get marks. Just memorize the simple one like moreover, furthermore, personally I believe, things like that. If you cannot remember any of the more advanced one, those three already give you some power in your cohesive devices use. Tak payah dah pakai next, then, firstly tu a bit boring kan. Maybe you can use furthermore and moreover. Simple je. You don't have to think about some difficult ones like
Yeah, exactly.
This is a simple one. If you're not sure, if you're sure, go ahead. Kan? For our average student, just remember moreover, furthermore.
And if you look at the Sora, actually in Sora we already have that organizational pattern there, organizational structure there that help you, to organize your ideas. Okay, so all you have to do is put here and there, make changes, to your Sora, because that is just a guideline. Okay, what you need, the material that we share with you is just a guideline. Okay, you don't have to really refer to it like, is the Bible. No, bukan, tak payah. But you know what you can do is refer to it and make changes wherever necessary lah.
Yes.
Okay, so we have less than 1 minute. Final words from you, Alif.
Well, for listening this Thursday, korek telinga dulu maybe, but just be calm. Don't if you miss one, maybe on the first recording, jangan duk pening, dengar yang lain dulu. Maybe hopefully the second recording you can focus back on that part yang you terlepas lah, kan. for listening this Thursday. But for speaking dah lepas, I'm not saying dah lepas biar lepas. No, you still have the oral exam next year.
Learn
Kan?
from your mistake.
Yeah, learn from your mistake. Avoid all these issues that we already highlighted here, especially the ones that you know yang you buat deliberately. Of course, there are word choices, so you have to read more. But the others like voice to romantic, semua ni you can avoid, right? Practice with your friends, especially kalau you already know your partner. It's already fixed for you. Okay, get him or her with you during your recess or something. Sambil makan, sambil sembang sikit. Practice the chemistry like Miss Aiman said earlier. Kan?
Exactly. So thank you so much, boys and girls, for being with us tonight. We wish you all the best for your trial. Okay, please go through all of the videos because we have covered everything that we need to cover to prepare you for your trial. Make sure you go through every single video that we have, our previous lesson. Again, thank you to you. Thank you to you as well, Alif, for being such an amazing partner tonight.
Thank you, Miss Aiman, for
More
being an awesome partner.
Okay, so bye-bye, everyone. Good night.
All right.
Bye.
Good night. See you next for the next lesson.
Bye. Okay. Is this still going? Sweet Papa ready.
I think it's still live.